Hi, I'm Faith,
And I'm Sarah.
and we're at Edinburgh Zoo today to look at the Gelada baboons.
We're going to talk about Geladas as a species and their current habitat.
We're then going to see how they might be affected by climate change. Gelada baboons are found only on the Ethiopian plateau, predominantly within the Simien Mountains National Park. Let's travel there to find more about them. Between the valley of the Upper Nile and Ethiopia's border with Sudan and South Sudan is a region of elevated plateaus and mountains that constitute the Ethiopian highlands. On nearly every side, the walls of the plateaus rise abruptly from the plains. Most of the Gelada baboons live at an altitude of between 2,000 and 4,000 metres. This environment is very unlike that of their forest-dwelling primate relatives. This high-altitude homeland has steep rocky cliffs juxtaposed against flat grasslands. Although they look very similar, they are not actually classified as true baboons. They are in fact monkeys. The male Gelada baboons are roughly the size of a large dog with a thick mane of hair. The females are roughly half the size of the males. The most distinctive feature of the Gelada baboon is an hourglass-shaped patch of skin on their chest. The patch ranges in colour from light pink to bright red depending on hormone levels. The brightness of this patch indicates the male social status and in females shows their reproductive stage. Gelada baboons are the last surviving species of a once widespread group of grass-grazing primates, and other than humans, they are the most terrestrial species of primates. There is thought to be around 200,000 baboons in the wild, however this is uncertain. During the day, the baboons forage for food in the grasslands, with a home range of up to 3 kilometres a day. They are herbivores, with grass blades making up around 90% of their diet. They eat both the blades of grass and the seeds depending on the season. Their short, powerful fingers enable them to dig up roots from grasslands, and they can chew the grass as efficiently as a zebra. These specializations allow them to take advantage of the grassland environment, which other primates could not inhabit. They may also eat crops, fruit, and on occasion insects where readily available. At night, the Geladas move up onto the steep cliffs to sleep. The Gelada baboons live in complex multi-level societies. The first level is the reproductive units, made up of one male, a few females, and their offspring. The next level is the bands, which consists of several reproductive units. These bands can then group together to form larger herds. The females of a reproductive unit form close bonds and will typically stay with one unit for the duration of their life. The male, however, will typically swap reproductive unit every 4 to 5 years. The male takes over a new unit through fighting the dominant male. Grooming allows the male to maintain his relationship with his females. The infants can move independently from around 5 months old and may play together with the other infants in the group. The Gelada baboons use a wide range of vocalizations to communicate with each other. The diversity of these vocalizations is thought to be near that of humans.
In Simien Mountains National Park, mean daytime temperatures range from 10 to 20 degrees Celsius, with nighttime temperatures ranging from -2 to -10. Ethiopia experiences seasonal or monsoon rainfall with peak rainfall in the month of July. Average annual rainfall exceeds 1,500 millimeters per year, with 75% occurring between June and September. Average temperatures in Ethiopia rose 1.3 degrees Celsius from 1960 to 2006 at an average rate of 0.3 degrees per decade. Precipitation in Ethiopia has been relatively stable for the last 50 years. According to the IPCC, a small increase in precipitation in Ethiopia is likely, while there will also be an increase in extreme rainfall events. Temperatures in Ethiopia are projected to rise faster than the global average. Under emission scenario 2.6, a temperature rise of around 1 degree by 2050 is likely, while under emission scenario 8.5, over 2 degrees C of warming is likely by 2050. Increasing temperatures will likely cause an increase in drought, which could decrease the Geladas food supply and also decrease water availability. Rising temperatures and drought risk would also increase the chances of wildfires in the area, which would result in habitat loss.
The greatest climate change-induced threats to Geladas are habitat loss, a loss of their main food source, and encroachment of new pests into grazing areas. A 1998 paper on climate change effects on Geladas shows that the likely effect will be a decline in population as their grazing land is reduced or fragmented for land use change to agriculture. Extensive grazing practices in the area have already forced Geladas into less productive parts of the plateaus. Geladas will likely be pushed back into a range of the Simien Mountains within the Simien National Park. In a report integrating feeding, social behaviors, and movement patterns into a model specific to Geladas, it was estimated that the likely effect of each 2-degree increase in temperature as a result of climate change will cause a rise in their lower altitudinal limit by 500 meters, causing them to retreat up the plateau to survive. In the summer of 2009, scientists observing the Geladas on the Glasa Plateau experienced a strange phenomenon. A swarm of desert locusts climbed the plateau until they reached 3,600 meters, the highest elevation at which they had ever been recorded. The swarm began consuming the grass that would normally serve as the Geladas' main food source. At first, the Geladas seemed frightened, but then they were observed charging into the swarm and consuming large amounts of locusts. The odd behaviors of both species were prompted by a change in temperature. Locusts require a temperature over 20 degrees Celsius for flight. When the temperatures at higher altitudes reached this minimum level, they were able to invade the Geladas' territory. The Geladas, in turn, displayed a behavior that could serve to be a great strength under climate change effects. The adaptability of Geladas to different food sources could prove important if pests such as desert locusts will be seen at higher and higher altitudes.
We've become so removed from the effect our energy use has on the environment. It's easy to forget the consequences it can have on habitats and species around the world. The biologist E.O. Wilson described the challenges all non-human species face as HIPPO: habitat loss, invasive species, pollution, human population, and overharvesting. All of these threats face the Gelada in Ethiopia. Due to population growth and declining agricultural productivity, more and more land within the Simien Mountains National Park is being taken up by smallholding farms, threatening the Geladas with encroachment and soil erosion. Farmers have increasingly taken to protecting their crops with weapons. Ethiopia has an expanding tourism industry, with Westerners keen to experience one of UNESCO's first World Heritage Sites. Unfortunately, a lack of regulation, education, and waymarking risks introducing invasive species and disease into their habitat. Packaging and plastics have also been found in increasing volumes within the park, with little research conducted into the effects of excessive human interaction on Gelada behavior and well-being. As important to Ethiopia's economy as tourism, coffee demand has the potential to impact on the Gelada's ecosystem. Ethiopia exported 127,000 tons of coffee beans in 2015, and with demand growing, there may be impacts on soil fertility, pollution from pesticides, and water availability in the area surrounding their habitat. Furthermore, 88% of energy supply in Ethiopia comes from large hydroelectric sources, struggling to keep pace with a population growth rate 6 times higher than Europe's, with only 10% electrification in rural areas. The proposed Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will be built into the Blue Nile River, and with a capacity of 6,500 megawatts, has the potential to disrupt the fine hydrological balance underpinning the Geladas ecosystem.
What did we find out, Chris?
So, Robert, we found that Geladas exist in a fine balance with their ecosystem, and climate change, along with direct human influence, has the potential to significantly disrupt this.